It is the 17th of January. We are around the halfway point of the January transfer window. And today we are going to talk about the most informed side in the Premier League. You guessed it, Newcastle United. One of my favourite teams to watch this season, if I'm being brutally honest. I think the balance they've got in midfield, I think the deadly number 9 in Alexander Isak, the pace and the wide play of Gordon and Murphy, the defensive stability they've got in Burn, in Botman, in Share, and the fact that the Dubravka's come in, which a lot of people weren't particularly happy with what I saw. I think they may have found the perfect signing for this system. We're going to get into that. I don't know whether it's going to be in January because he's heavily linked to a lot of teams, but he has been linked to Newcastle as well, or it's going to be in the summer. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel. We are under 130 now away from the big 40K, which is a massive milestone on this channel. Big up to every single person who supported the channel. And if you want the daily transfer updates and the match reactions and all the football news, hit that subscribe button. Now, Newcastle United have got, for me right now, the best number 9 in Europe. Alexander Isak is firing in all cylinders. He really is an absolute joke of a player right now. 15 Premier League goals and 5 assists in 19 games. And I think he's only started 17 of those games. His record in a Newcastle United shirt is extraordinary. 17 goals in all competitions. 5 assists, 22 goal contributions in 23 games. When you put that alongside Gordon, a midfield trio of Joelinton, Bruno G, who's one of the best midfielders in the world right now, and that number 6, who is the anchor in that midfield in Tonali. They've got such a good fullback pairing of Livramento and Hall. Hall, I think, for me, is one of the best left backs in the Premier League this season. So, with all these good players, what is the perfect signing for what Newcastle need? Now, I'm going to bring up the lineup they played in their victory against the Wolves, which was their 8th win. Yes, that's right. 8th win on the bounce. And Alexander Isak, again, 2 goals. Anthony Gordon, another goal. A really good performance from Newcastle. Wolves definitely gave them a good run. Let's not beat around the bush. They definitely had some chances in that game. But this lineup that I'm going to get to, I'm going to bring up both lineups on the screen so you can kind of see what Newcastle and Wolves played. But this lineup that Newcastle played, where do they need to strengthen? Now, I'll bring up the report where they've been linked to a player. But you look at that. Dubravka with an 8.8 rating. Isak man of the match with 2 goals. Gordon again. Joelinton's not his best performance in the world, but I am a big fan of his. Where do they need to strengthen? I think the ideal scenario would be to bring in a centre-back and to bring in a forward. I think you could maybe strengthen that midfield a little bit, but Mark Gahey and Bryan Mbeumo are 2 of the names in the past that have been heavily linked to Newcastle United. Alexander Isak has been heavily linked to a move away. Arsenal are one of the teams that are interested in him. But my argument is right now, if Newcastle United win the League Cup and Newcastle United get into the top 4, why would Alexander Isak want to leave? They will go out there and comfortably put him on £200,000 a week or a very, very high contract, which would probably be the highest paid player in Newcastle in the Premier League in the modern era. You look at Bruno G, Manchester City are heavily linked to him as well, but it's the same sort of argument. Newcastle United right now are flying. They're absolutely flying. You look at their recent wins, you look at their recent results, how many goals they're scoring, how many clean sheets they keep keeping. It's very difficult right now to see players leaving their football club. And I have a very similar opinion to the Bruno Guimaraes and the Alexander Isaks to what I had with Harry Kane and Son. You know, if the team's competing, why do they need to leave? Look at it. 4-0 against Leicester. 3-1 against Brentford, 4-0 against Ipswich, 3-0 against Villa, 2-0 against United, 2-1 against Spurs, 2-0 against Arsenal, 3-1 against Bromley, 3-0 against Wolves. And you look at their next 8 games, right? The hardest game in the next 8 by a country mile, I think we can all agree, is going to be at Anfield. However, Newcastle do have a very good record against Liverpool in the last couple of years. I think they will win their next 3 games now. I think they will beat Bournemouth, beat Southampton, and beat Fulham. And the way Arsenal played against them at the return, at the first leg at the Emirates, it wouldn't surprise me if Newcastle get a 1-0 win there. So you've got a team right now that's a well-oiled machine and is functioning at a very high level. How do you improve that? How do you go out there and bring a player in? Now, an article come out yesterday said Newcastle make the first move for Bryan Mbeumo, and it's by Ben Jacobs, who is a very, very good journalist. It goes on to say, here we go. New claims on Bryan Mbeumo. Speaking to the United stand, transfer expert Ben Jacobs claimed Newcastle are the only club to make a concrete approach for Bryan Mbeumo so far, suggested a summer bid could be one to watch. He said Brentford don't want to sell, and that's the first thing. Newcastle United are the only club that have made a concrete approach. No bid for January, but they're looking for Mbeumo over the summer. What can we say is Dan Ashworth was still at Newcastle. He was looking at Mbeumo. It's logical to think that Ashworth was at United, but Mbeumo into the mix. But I'm not aware that they have taken forward Jason Wilcox, Omar Bamada, and any of the recruitment team. Nothing on my radar of Manchester United and Bryan Mbeumo other than the point that Newcastle like him. Now, you throw Bryan Mbeumo into that mix alongside Gordon and alongside Alexander Isak. For me, you get the best front 3 in the Premier League. Now, we can talk about the Erling Haalands of the world and the fact that he's just signed a very, very long contract at Manchester City, which is going to extend him to basically majority of his career. He will be a Manchester City player. But I look at these 3 in particular. This would be, for me, the best front 3 in the Premier League. Now, Arsenal fans and Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans saying, yeah, but why would Alexander Isak stay at Newcastle? If they win silverware this season, right, I just can't. If they go out hypothetically, right, and win that League Cup, I just can't see them leaving, any players leaving. The fee that Newcastle can command right now for Alexander Isak is going to be in the region of, I would estimate, between 150 to 170 million pounds. Now, that is absolutely insane. No, I can't see anyone paying that. And that's not because he's not worth it. I just don't know right now who can actually afford that. You know, he's a very, very good, very, very good player who is in the form of his life. And I don't think Newcastle are doing anything wrong to command a fee like that. You look at him right now. Why would they not want 150 million for him? He's the most informed player in the Premier League right now, other than Mohamed Salah. So I just can't see it happening. But you throw in the mix of Bryan Mbeumo, Gordon, and Isak into that team, I think they would be absolutely threatening. You look at where Nottingham Forest are right now. People are putting them into the mix. Now, if Newcastle add a couple of players to their team in the summer, why can't they challenge? I'm just putting together a team in the background of what it could look like if they were to hypothetically bring in Gahey, who has been heavily linked to the club, and they brought in if they brought in Bryan Mbeumo. Now, this team for me, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but this team for me right now challenges for the Premier League. I'm not saying they go out and win it. I'm not saying they're as good as the Liverpools and the Arsenals of the world, but I think they would be absolutely insane. Let me bring up the team on the screen just so you guys can have a better look at it, because I think this team would be absolutely insane. Right, let me share this on screen now. Would be Newcastle's team, hypothetically, if they brought in Gahey and Mbeumo, who they have been heavily linked to. Look at that team. One of the best fullback pairings in the league right now. Livramento on fire. Lewis Hall, a top player. Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton and Tonali, the most balanced midfield right now. And a front three that is deadly. Absolutely deadly. And you look at the depth of a Murphy. Miggy Almiron will be leaving. You know, you've got that young player, Miley, who can come into midfield. You've also got Shire as well, who I think has just signed a contract extension. That 11 is very, very good. And I think they've got more match winners in their side right now this season than a Nottingham Forest, for instance. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think this Newcastle side could challenge? Because for me, it's got everything. And you look at where they are in the Premier League right now. They're not miles away, are they? They're not like 25, 30 points away. They are, as it stands, they are 9 points off of Liverpool. Does Bryan Mbeumo and does Gahey close down that 9-point gap? I definitely think with those two players, they would be as strong as Nottingham Forest or stronger than Forest. But then again, Manchester City are going to add players. Chelsea are going to add players. Arsenal are going to add players. They need to get their recruitment spot on. But with those two players, wow. Wow. And you've also got to remember, if they get Champions League this season, which is looking likely at this moment in time, they can also attract better and bigger players. So let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you have hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. I'm out.